Hi, this is a Minute of Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this week I want to give you a quick tour of the Google Play Developer Console. Okay, so last week, almost like on a spur of the moment, I decided I would make my topic about like a quick tour of iTunes Connect. So I went through everything that I know about iTunes Connect, where to set things up, the different things that I've used, the type of effects that we had, and it turned out to be like 25 minutes long, right? So so much for like a minute of Overpass. It hasn't been a minute since like the first few weeks of me doing this. However, hopefully it was useful. Now, so I thought what I would do this time is like do the companion to it, which is Google Play. So go through the whole Google Play Developer Console because it's there's so much involved there too. And if you're a developer, you need to learn how to use it. You may be so involved in the actual development that you don't think about actually optimizing for Google Play and things like that. And if you're somebody who's hired a developer, maybe you've hired Overpass, maybe you're a client of ours, and I'll just send this to you sometime in the future, then it's important to know what everything does there too. And I'm going to try to keep it less than 25 minutes, obviously, because who wants to watch all that? Okay, so now you should be able to see my screen right now. This is my Google Play console. So here you can see, we've got 3 pages of apps. So, I've got a few hundred apps here. I've been doing it for quite a long time. This is I'm filtering out all the unpublished apps and all the draft apps. So, this is actually quite a lot. But, it's been like 3 years, so a lot of production. So I'll just go through the interface here first. Up in the upper right hand corner, you'll see the name of the app developer name. Now this is something I tried a few months ago, so it always said Overpass Apps. However, this is what people are going to see when they download an app or when they go to your app. So if people come in to see like EarSpy, they'll see Overpass Apps. So what I did was I saw somebody else had done this and I thought I'd give it a try. I changed it to Overpass Apps and I gave a subtitle, Superhuman Apps and Games. So it's more to increase, Overpass Apps, it's not the most interesting name. So if you throw something else in there, it helps. Now, our downloads have gone up and I don't know if that's the reason why, but ideally, what we want to do on the Google Play page is kind of pique the interest as to what other kind of stuff they do. So like I was showing you last week with iTunes Connect, where they just recently allowed multiple accounts, Google Play does that too. I'm going to open this, but I'm going to gray everything else out. But so I could switch between clients here and just go straight into somebody else's account. So that's actually, it actually works, really well. So, where it used to be, with iTunes, you used to have to like get everybody's email and password and everything like that. It's much easier now to just be able to say, go into the admin console and add me as a developer. Okay, so this is all applications. This is where most everything is over here on the left, but I'll go through this other stuff here. Now, game services is if you're going to use Google Play game services. So we've done that for quite a few games here. We see we don't have a lot of players, but if you're going to set up leaderboards and rewards and everything like that, you would set all those up there. And it's it's kind of nice, but it really is not the best. My personal opinion is that I want the players, since I'm going to release a game into both iTunes or to iPhone and Android, I kind of want to have a leaderboard that spans both of them. And what we've done in the past is we use iTunes Game Center and Google Play Game Services. Reports are all the crashes and A&R reports, everything like that. I don't really spend a lot of time here. Settings, I spend a lot of time at. So, you set up all your app details. Now, when you set up your app details or your developer details, you have to be careful for what's public. So, like some people, I know some of my clients have put their home address in here, and then they immediately see that it's on the Google Play page, so they remove it. The phone number, all that kind of stuff. Some of it's public, some of it's private, so you just kind of have to make sure. User accounts and rights. So, like I said before, when we have a client, we get them to add Overpass to it. So we just say, grant us developer accounts. Let me just go into that. Works very much the same way that iTunes does now. So you go through and you can set what kind of permissions you want somebody to have. So, I might want to give somebody access, one of the developers access to upload a draft, but I don't want them to be able to change the description, or I might, I don't want them to see finances and things like that. So that works really well. Or if we have like a partnership with somebody, we do that. Activity log, what's been uploaded and when. I think that's something I don't spend a lot of time on. How often do you want to, get email alerts, API access, linked accounts, all that kind of stuff. Now, developer page. This goes with me changing the name from Overpass Apps to Overpass Apps Superhuman Apps and Games. You could set up a Google Play, like a developer page. So, actually, let me just show you here. If I open up play.google.com and I type in the easiest search in the world, I highly recommend you do it. Just type in Spy, and you should see EarSpy at the top. So here you can see how it all looks. The Overpass App Superhuman Apps and Games. So it's much more interesting. And I scroll down, and at the bottom here, I see this, basically the developer page. So I see other apps from Overpass Apps, and I could actually go into this, and it's almost like a mini site within Google Play. So again, ideally when somebody finds your app, you want them to find other things that you've done too. So it all kind of helps. Everybody, like almost everybody for our apps, comes in through one or two routes. They're either a language learner or they're somebody who's downloading EarSpy. And what I want to do is kind of introduce the other apps to those people too. So that's something that's fairly recent that they've added. Alerts and announcements, that's just kind of things when Google Play sends you an email. They'll say like, you've included the key store file within the app binary and stuff like that. So let me go back to all applications. So here you can see all applications. You add a new application. You've done it all before. You could have number of pages. It would be nice if you could extend the number of pages, because it is very slow to load this page when you get a lot. You get the columns here, the price that you're charging, the total number of the current installs, and the total installs. So let me just show you one that's a bit more impressive here. Here we go. EarSpy, where we've had 208,505 people have it right now, but so far 2,669,616 have downloaded it. You see here we have the ratings and reviews. So you have the average rating, and then the number of people who left a review. So the more people who leave a review, the better. You want as many people to leave a review as possible, even if it's a bad review. I mean, you just want people to do that. So here you can see the average is 3.57. It's so consistent, right? It was at 3.56 for months, but we probably get about 20 or 30 a day. The number of crashes, which you're going to get some. If you have like a lot of downloads, you're going to get some crashes. I mean, there's just so many different types of Android apps. The last update, so we updated a new version almost a month ago. The status, so which is published or draft or not published. And over here we have a security alert because I'm including an SDK for an ad network that seems to be having some trouble with some SSL certificates. So I need to change that. So if I go into one of these apps here, so I'll go into EarSpy because it's the biggest one we have. Now in here you go through, and on the left you have the sub menu. So you have the statistics, which you look at every day. So let's just start there. So statistics are so much more advanced than iTunes is. You could go through and see the total number current devices installed. So here, like I said earlier, there's 208,505. Down here I can see it broken down by device, by tablet, how many are tablets, by country. This is really important, really interesting, because I can see that United States is the biggest, Mexico the second biggest since we translated into Spanish a few years ago, Brazil the third biggest since we translated into Portuguese, and it's also in the top 10 for medical in all of these countries. And that's it. But however, I don't usually look at this one. Usually when I go into this page, I mean, we have all these other statistics here: daily installs by device, current installs by user, all this kind of stuff, active users. However, I always go to the second one here. I always go to daily installs by device, because this is the most interesting statistic for me. This is on a day-to-day basis. I know if it's being found. So here you can see, let me just go back a little bit more. Let's do 6 months. So you can see here on a daily basis, 3,000, about between 3,000 and 4,000 people downloaded it. We for a while it was above 4,000 like every day, and now it's between 3.5 and 4.5. So like let me just go back to this last month. You can see like yesterday, or 2 days ago, we had 3,767, 3,869, 4,000. So it's very, very consistent. Now, if I show you some of the other apps that we have, it's much lower than that. So that's statistics. I spent a lot of time in statistics. I'm sure if you're an app developer, you look at that every day too. And that gets updated once a day. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, and it takes a few days. User acquisition is something that I've showed you before on this. This is where you can actually now go through and see how many people have actually seen your app. The big challenges are, first, getting people to be able to find it, and second, getting people to download it. So not knowing, because you can see, for the longest time, you can see how many people have downloaded it, but you didn't know how it was doing in the rankings and all that kind of stuff, or how many people were looking at it and saying, I'm not that interested. So here you can actually see that. You can see how many people visited the store page. So this is in the last 15 days. It was 95,000 people looked at it, but only 26,000 people downloaded it. And purchasers, 11, and 2 of them are repeat buyers. And this is for the in-app purchases. It's really low for this app. So this is something that's really interesting, but it's the kind of thing you don't need to look at every day. AdWords campaigns. Now, I have done a few AdWords campaigns, and so this is where it shows up, rather than go through AdMob and set up a new ad. This kind of, I think it shows up at the top of the Google Play page, but I've tried it for a few apps, and I haven't seen much difference. So not much help there. Finance is how much money you're making through the app. So you could either check here, or you could check Google Wallet and run reports on that. Ratings and reviews, probably next to statistics, maybe even more than statistics, the most important page that you have to look at on a daily basis. So here you can see you have the average rating, so it goes up and down. This is EarSpy is an app that people either really, really love it, or they really, really hate it. There's very few in between. So like here you can see they've just, Google Play just within the last few months introduced this new graphic here, so you can see like an average of how many are 5 stars, how many are 1 stars, everything like that, which is kind of neat. But basically here you can see all the reviews that come through on a daily basis. So this is live, so I don't really know what I'm going to find here, but it's usually pretty consistent. It's like, this is great, this is great, this is great, this sucks, this sucks, this is great. So here you can see, like it, EarSpy, Stress, and it uses Google Translate. So if you have, like we do, we have lots of, we globalize the app, so we get lots of stuff from all over the world, and Google Translate doesn't really work that well. But I mean, it's better than nothing. So here we go. Good. It's great to see the conversations of my neighbor. Good. And then sucks. And there's been an improvement. Good. So one of the nice things about Google Play that iTunes does not allow is that you can respond to reviews. So here I can say, please make more spy things. I could say to Susie Chan, I could say, thanks, Susie. Glad you like it. Which I don't really do that because that's kind of creepy. But most of the time, if somebody says something like, there's a virus or something stupid, then I have to respond to that. But that's kind of important. From what I've read, it helps your ASO if you do respond to reviews, and it helps Google know that you're actually active as a developer and checking all that kind of stuff. So that's really helpful. The next one down is crashes and ANRs. ANR stands for, I don't know what it stands for, but crashes are like we get a certain amount of crashes each day. I mean, like I said, we get with thousands of downloads each day, and it doesn't always work on all devices. And it's some in the beginning I was trying to nail those down. Every time we see a new crash, but after a while it just got too much. So I mean, if we see like a huge number, like if it's 10% of all users, then we'll definitely look into that. But that's something, and it's useful because you see like what type of device it was and all that kind of stuff. Optimization tips. Next one down. This is really interesting because this is Google telling you what it thinks you could do next in order to optimize. So, for EarSpy, I've gone through and done pretty much everything that they've said. We've globalized it. We've added screenshots for every location, all that kind of stuff. But now it's saying, designed for tablets, which we have, but it hasn't. But and if you're just getting started out, they never show you like lots of things at once. Usually, they'll show you a couple things, and you make that change, and they'll show you a few more. Cloud Test Lab. This is something that's new, and I think it's still in the beta stage. I haven't actually used it, but what I think it is a lot like AppThwack and some of the other services where you can upload your APK and run it on like lots of devices simultaneously, and to see if it crashes on any of them. Okay, so this second part here, so you see there's these two divisions. The top division usually shows up after you've published. The bottom half is when you're setting things up. So the bottom half, we've got the APK tab. Now, APKs are the executables for Android. So when you upload a new build, it gets a version number, which you have to increase each time manually. So this is for EarSpy version number 24. Now, you can do alpha and beta testing in Google Play, right? So I could say I want to release a beta version and I want to make it available to a certain amount of people. It's a little bit like TestFlight, I suppose. However, I've never used this. It relies on Google Circles, and getting people to use Google Circles, at least in my opinion, it's just too complicated. I'd rather just be able to send out a link to somebody and say, here's a link to the app. So I've just started using things like TestFairy rather than just sending APKs. But if you use the beta and alpha testing on Google Play, please let me know, because I'd like to know how that actually works out for you, right? So the next one down is the store listing. Now, the store listing is the Google Play page, so it's the all the important things. So here you can see the title, which you only get 30 characters, unlike iTunes, where you can say EarSpy, the super fantastic, wonderful, whatever. Here you can just say EarSpy Super Hearing. And a lot of times I spend so much time trying to squeeze it, like a few keywords, into those 30 spaces. Over here you got the short description, which shows up in the app page just below the description. Now, I don't think it shows up on the website, but it does show up on the app itself, right? So, and this is another place where you want to get good keywords into. Next, you've got the full description, and you get like 4,000 characters here. I've tried various things with the description. I try to go through and make sure I fill in. Like here you can see I've actually filled in all 4,000 characters for this one. I haven't left anything undone, but I have seen other apps that are like top of their category that have just 200 characters. So, but for me, I've always been just adding new things in there. Now, up here you can see languages. Now, I have gone through, and I've done a minute of Overpass about this before, about localizing, but I've actually gone through and hired translators in all these different languages to translate. So here you can see we got the Arabic version of the store listing. So everything's in Arabic. We've got simplified Chinese. We got traditional Chinese. Portuguese was the biggest one, right? Which I never would have thought of. Portuguese means that we're huge in Brazil, right? So and down here you have the screenshots. Now, when you change the language here, you also change the screenshot. So on some apps, we'll do the description in lots of different languages, and that really helps for keywords, right? When we first translated EarSpy into Portuguese and stuff like that, it was, we saw an immediate bump. Even before we released the APK, we could see like we could see the rankings just go up and up, because people were searching on spy tools and stuff in Portuguese and all the other languages that we were doing. However, one thing we could eventually, and this we didn't do it immediately, but later on we went through and actually changed the all the screenshots into the different languages too. So that was part of the translation task. Here you do it for tablets as well. Now, unlike iTunes, you can just do any size on these. It'll stretch them. Like here you can see, I didn't even talk about your poor effort here. This isn't even a square screen. This is still the phone size screen, but I just use the same one to upload it onto all of these. Android TV and Android Wear, you can upload for those too, but we haven't used those yet. Right, and then you also have your high resolution icon. Let me just go back to English here so we can show. You have your high resolution icon, which is 512 by 512, unlike the iTunes 1024. You have the feature graphic. Now the feature graphic used to be prominently displayed at the top of the page, and now it's kind of relegated to right behind the video, or one of the top ones on Google Play. So it's at the top on the app, but it doesn't seem to show up on the page. Like if I show you the page here, let me go back to EarSpy. You can see it doesn't actually show up anywhere. And then you have the promo graphic, which is, I've always included it. I don't think it's ever been promoted. However, it's there. And you got the TV banner, but I've never done anything for TV. Now, promo video. This is, you can add any YouTube video as a promo video, and this is very helpful. I mean, it doesn't take long to set up a YouTube video, and it's much easier to show somebody how something works than it is to, just explain it in a description. So, I'm a big believer in that. Most of the time, we try to do a promo video when we can. Categorization. Now, okay, so iTunes, you can have 2 categories. Google Play, you only have 1. You have your first one here, which is application or games. Now, this is an application. And then you have your category. Now, unlike iTunes, you can change any of this at any time. You don't have to upload a new build every time. So it doesn't go through a review process. You can just go through and say, if your app's not performing well in one category, try it in another one for a few days. See if there's any kind of bump. What you want to do is, maybe somebody will be searching a certain category, browsing, and then they'll find it. Or maybe it'll just start performing better in another one. This one, EarSpy, we started off in communication because it was kind of a strange app, wasn't sure where to put it. And later, because a lot of people use a hearing aid, I moved it to medical. And it's like one of the top, it's in the top medical apps, like in all these different countries, which is kind of, I think it was number 9. Like a few weeks ago, it was number 9 medical app in the US, which made me feel bad for number 10. But, that's all it is. Content rating. This is high maturity, low maturity, whatever. If you have like a violent game, you want to do that. Now, they've really gotten strict on the new content rating. Actually, this is months ago. So you have to go through and fill in a questionnaire so they can give it a ESRB rating and all this kind of stuff. So you just have to answer a bunch of questions like, does it use violence, all this kind of stuff. The website. Yeah, if you have a website, use it. An email address. Don't ever use your personal email address because it shows up on the app page. A phone number. Again, we have a business phone number and a privacy policy. Now, you don't have to submit a privacy policy. My entire strategy towards Google Play is, if they want something, I'm going to try as hard as I can to give it to them. So it doesn't take much to set up a privacy policy on your website. If you have like a WordPress site or whatever, just go through and set something up and put that there. So that's it for the store listing. I mean, it really is important in terms of getting people in. Experiments is something that I talked about before. You find the other video on that. I won't go into it too much, but basically you run like A/B testing to see, which descriptions work better, which feature graphics work better, which icons work better. But in order to use this, you have to have people actually coming into your app to begin with. The content rating. This is the one. It was down at the other page. This is the ESRB rating. It has its own tab, even though it's at the bottom there. Pricing and distribution. Now, unlike iTunes, which you have bands, so you can say, tier A, tier B, or tier 1, tier 2, and all this kind of stuff. Google Play, you could change it to anything you want. So, this one's actually a free one, but I can select which countries it goes to. I don't see any reason not to make it available to all countries. Go all the way down the bottom here. And then at the bottom, actually there's this new thing here where you have to say whether or not you serve ads. That I haven't actually filled in yet, but I think it's going to be like in the next few weeks or months, it's going to become a requirement. So I'm going to have to go into all these apps and say whether or not they have ads in them. Android Wear, we're not, I haven't done that yet, but it's in the works. Android TV, we're not supporting that. Designed for families. That's something that I've never used, but if you have like a kids app, you might want to consider that. Google Play for work, never used. Google Play for education, I've used quite a lot. So basically what you do is if you select that, you have to put in an email address, and it goes through an approval process, and it takes like weeks or months. I mean, it's like they've come back and say, hey, you've been approved for Google Play for education, and I completely forgot that I've even entered the app in for that. So it's kind of a cool thing there. Let's see, we got restrict distribution. Oh, you could make it people only available to your network. I never used it, never seen any reason why. And marketing opt out, all this kind of stuff. You have to go through and you have to tick these two content guidelines and U.S. export laws, as those are requirements. In-app products, if you're going to have in-app purchases, you have to set them up here. So we have a few here. We've got extended equalizer widget, and basically you go through and you set up like a unique key there, and you within the app you go through and unlock that, and if they made the purchase. So here's where you can set all the prices and everything individually for those. And finally, we have services and APIs. So here you've got your license, in-app and billing, your Google Cloud messaging. So if you're going to set up push notifications, you set that up there. Your license key, so it prevents it from being copied. I'll grade this out. I don't know if anybody can actually do anything with that. Google Play game services. Again, if you're going to set up leaderboards, you have to do stuff there. Translation service. I've never used it. Just go on Upwork or Elance, what used to be Elance, and get people to do it. $5 each. You can get every language done. And app indexing from Google Search. I've never used that, but that's it. So that's a quick whirlwind. Again, I hope it's not 25 minutes, but I'll check in a minute. That's a really quick tour of the Google Play console. I spent a lot of time in here, and it's the nice thing about Google Play, unlike iTunes, where every time you tweak something, you have to upload a new build and wait for 2 weeks. Google Play, you could do it immediately. In order to see statistics, you have to wait at least a couple days until you get some new downloads in. But it's so much nicer just to be able to go through and say, I want to change this description. Yeah, to give you an idea, we have some of these language flash quiz games. So here, Arabic Flash Quiz. The app is actually called Arabic Flash Quiz, but I changed the name to Arabic Language Flash Quiz just to see if it increased in the ratings. So in the rankings for Arabic language, which it did. So that was a big help for that. And other apps I've done that too. Some of them are in various states of I might change some things. Here I go, Chemistry Alley periodic table, Chemistry Flash Quiz exercise, Chemistry Flash Quiz game, just trying different types of keywords inside there. So that's it. Hopefully that's been useful. Unlike iTunes, I think, Google Play is the kind of thing where you can just go through and just tweak things over and over and over again. I mean, everybody complains that they don't get downloads on Google Play, but you really have to play around with this. And you can do so much without uploading a new build, without changing anything in your application. Just go through and have fun with this, and try new language, try new keywords, try to get new people in. Now, Google is a search company, unlike iTunes, so it's not just about keywords. It's also about backlinks and having relevance within the App Store. I mean, one thing Google is good at is telling whether or not your web page is relevant to the search. They're also good at telling whether or not your app is relevant to the search. So it's not so easy to game it. So you have to kind of go through and try to get lots of links in, try to get lots of downloads. Definitely try to get people to review it and stuff like that. So that's it. That's it for this week. I hope this has been helpful. Now, we just released a new app, just to tell you really quickly, called Chinese Spy. It's available on Google Play. And now this is kind of based on my own experience learning Chinese when I was 19 years old in the Army, and they came forward and said, Ruli, you're going to learn Chinese. And I thought, there's no way I could learn Chinese. And this is what I was trying with this app. So a lot of these apps, people think that they're for people who are studying those languages already. So no, we're trying to throw you into the deep end. We're trying to say, if the fate of the world depended on it, could you learn some Chinese? So please check out Chinese Spy. It's on the Google Play Store now. It'll be available on iTunes within the next 2 weeks. And I'll talk to you next week. Goodbye. Hey, I really hope you liked that video. Now, I do these once a week, so if you want to hear more, or you want to hear more about our experiences with the App Store, either Google Play or iTunes, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and please like this video and leave a comment. I love reading the comments. I love hearing what you have to say, even if it's just hello or whatever. And like I say before, if you're not sure what to say in a comment, like I never know what to say in a comment, I'll make it easier for you. Like if you liked it, just go ahead and say gnarly, which is an 80s term, or if you didn't like it, just say bogus, and if you didn't think any of it, just say right? So that would be a big help. And another thing you could do, which I'd really appreciate it, if you're on the App Store and you want to try one of our apps, look up some of the Overpass apps applications, either on iTunes or Google Play, and leave a review and let us know what you think about it, either good or bad. But it's we're all trying to build up in the market, so that would be a big help. So that's it. I'll talk to you next week.